Bueno, yo no soy de Silicon Valley, yo soy de Sonora, soy mexicano, pero soy socio de la empresa y el Managing Director aquí en México y bueno, en un futuro esperemos que en Latinoamérica también. Bueno, nosotros, la compañía se llama Global Silicon Valley y GSV. Tenemos nuestras oficinas centrales, las tenemos en Silicon Valley, en Redwood, California, pero tenemos presencia también, tenemos oficinas en Chicago, tenemos oficinas en París, tenemos oficinas en Dubái y bueno, acabamos de abrir aquí en la Ciudad de México nuestras oficinas. ¿Qué hace Silicon Valley, Global Silicon Valley? Lo que hacemos es invertir en las principales compañías tecnológicas que están cambiando nuestro mundo, ¿no? Que están siendo disruptivas, que están siendo emprendedoras, y bueno, y creemos que son buenas oportunidades de inversión para participar de alguna manera en estas oportunidades otra vez, ¿verdad? Invertimos en este tipo de compañías con diferentes vehículos de inversión, por llamarlos de alguna manera, que les vamos a explicar bueno, un par aquí en esta presentación y también algunas empresas en las que hemos invertido. Son compañías antes de que salgan a bolsa, hemos invertido en Alibaba, por ejemplo, que algunos de ustedes conocerán, en Twitter también tuvimos posiciones y bueno, ahora estamos buscando inversionistas para Spotify, para Pinterest, para Palantir, Instacart, entre algunas otras. Y bueno, ahorita les van a hacer llegar mi tarjeta, yo estoy aquí en la Ciudad de México, tenemos oficinas en Santa Fe, aquí cerquita, cualquier cosa estoy a sus órdenes y le doy la palabra aquí a mi socio Larry Ashbrook para que les platique un poco de lo que hacemos y bueno, otra vez muchas gracias y buen provecho.
Thank you, Oscar, and thanks for coming out and having breakfast with us this morning. Our brief agenda today is, as Oscar mentioned, talk to you about Global Silicon Valley, our company. We actually are launching a few new opportunities. One is spearheaded by David Sprang, one of my partners, who's here. We'll talk briefly about that. What we have for you is a brief video that will provide you an overview of Global Silicon Valley and our investment thesis. And then after that, we can talk about some specific companies that we're invested in and also open it up to any questions you might have. But with that, I'm going to play a short video and then come back up to the podium to continue.
Hi, my name is Mike Moe, and I'm co-founder of GSV and the CEO of GSV Capital. GSV stands for Global Silicon Valley, and it's our mission to identify and invest in the fastest growing, most dynamic companies in the world, what we call the stars of tomorrow. While we're based in the heart of Silicon Valley, what we're excited about is the mindset of entrepreneurism and innovation that's made Silicon Valley such a special place, has gone global, it's gone viral. So we intend to invest not only in the greatest growth companies in Silicon Valley, but also in this emerging global Silicon Valley. From Austin to Boston, from Chicago to Sao Paulo, from Shanghai to Mumbai to Dubai. We're so passionate about investing in emerging growth companies, we wrote a book on it called Finding the Next Starbucks, in which we talk about both our philosophy and the power of growth, as well as the process that we use to identify and invest in these stars of tomorrow. At the essence of identifying and investing in these great growth companies is looking at where the mega trends intersect the growth sectors of the economy, and that's where we get excited to invest our dollars. When you look at the opportunity for GSV Capital, it's really been created over the past decade with a dramatically fewer number of IPOs that have gone public, coupled with the companies that are going public are much larger, more mature businesses. So we focus on identifying really where the companies used to go public, $100 million market value, to where they go public today, $1 billion. That's our sweet spot, that's our power element. We're very proud that we've been able to demonstrate the ability to access and invest in these great game-changing businesses, from Facebook to Twitter, Spotify, Dropbox, Palantir, Lyft, Coursera, to name a few. And we're equally excited about the game-changing businesses we're going to invest in the future.
It's a brief video that provides you with a pretty overall understanding of our investment thesis. What I'd like to do now is just kind of talk a little bit about how we do this, the Silicon Valley relationships, and really trying to bring Silicon Valley to our name, which is Global Silicon Valley, bringing these opportunities globally to a global investor base. You heard from Michael Moe, one of our partners and co-founder of GSV. And as he mentioned, Silicon Valley isn't just about a location in Central California. It's about a mindset that we believe exists globally in emerging markets, especially today around the world. Our host mentioned a few companies in his opening remarks about how it's changing the face of how we do business today. If it's you travel to most locations in the world, you're able to choose an Airbnb home to stay in versus a hotel. If you arrive in most major airports, you're able to quickly select an Uber, which is the most well-known, but there's also a variety of those types of companies in each local market that are popping up every day to provide your location, to provide you services to your end location, to how we shop online, to companies like Alibaba and Amazon who take no inventory risk, to grocery delivery services that allow you, while you're watching your favorite sporting event or weekly television show, to order your groceries with your smartphone and have them delivered to your home without leaving your couch. To companies that provide us the music that we love, basically free through our mobile device, that today has more computing power than most of the computers had throughout our collective generations. And so what we're most excited about at GSV is investing in these companies at a point in which they're approximately 2 years from their IPO date. As Michael mentioned in the video, there's been a delay in companies going public. About 10 years ago or so, companies were only 3 years old and had market caps of approximately $300 million and would be able to go public on the US or foreign exchanges. Today we're seeing companies much more mature, much larger in size going public, that are averaging about 14 years old and market cap size of a few $1 billion. So what this has done is it's created a void in the financing marketplace. And at GSV, we founded our business to really provide the financing solution to those companies, be it either through equity or credit facilities. And so today we have multiple investment funds that focus on this strategy of providing financing to the world's fastest growing, most dynamic technology companies, both through equity financings and through debt financings. Our goal at GSV is to be a provider for these companies in their life cycle of providing capital to them towards the end in which they're a private company, approximately 18 to 24 months prior to being public. And so, as the video mentioned, we've been fortunate to invest in some of the world's what we believe to be most dynamic companies. Today we're currently investing our funds into some of the names he mentioned, but more specifically, we have investment opportunities directly into our equity funds as well as individually into these companies through our vehicles of Spotify, Pinterest, and Lyft, which is a competitor to Uber. And what I'd like to do is not just have it be us talking about our business, but we're going to have David Spring, a partner at GSV, come up and talk about one of our funds shortly. But perhaps we could open it up to a few questions about just maybe the macro. That's my daughter. That was in Paris a few years ago. We don't need it. We can just turn it off. So anyhow, specifically today we're here to talk to you about two companies and then our new fund that we're launching. One of the investment opportunities we have is an equity fund that focuses on investing in these names. Our investment sizes range from high net worth individuals that will invest tens of thousands of dollars all the way to some of the world's largest financial institutions that invest tens of millions of dollars with us. Our belief is that Silicon Valley shouldn't be only tailored towards those who can write massive checks. One of the reasons why we're so focused on the emerging markets is not only for the technologies that they bring us, but also to provide the investment opportunities to the people that live in those regions. We recently added Oscar to our team. Oscar and I have known each other for approximately 10 years. We went to business school together at Arizona State. Oscar first was an investor in our funds, and then introduced some of his colleagues, friends and families and contacts to us to invest in our funds. And about 6 months ago, as we were getting ready to launch into this section of the world, Oscar graciously accepted a post here in Mexico City, and we'll be working to build out our presence in Mexico City as well as the rest of Latin and Central and South America. So the two companies today that we're actively pursuing investment opportunities in are Spotify and Pinterest. Those companies we've been an investor in for some time. We believe an IPO in both of those names will happen in the next 12 to 18 months. They're both businesses that have significant growth. What we look for in businesses is that they have approximately 100% year-over-year growth in their user base and their revenue, as well as a clear path of profitability within the next year or so. And then we have an investment fund that's focused on providing companies like that we've mentioned credit facilities. And David Sprang is here to talk briefly about that. We'll discuss that. So we really have a broad spectrum of investment opportunities at GSV, from funds that are traditional LP funds that are 2 and 20 funds, meaning there's a 2% annual management fee and a 20% carry. That provides you with a portfolio of names to invest in. We have opportunities to invest in companies directly through one of our vehicles. And so you can pick and choose which of the companies we invest in to own. And then we have a fund that focuses on providing those companies credit facilities. And so the reason why we do across the spectrum is because everybody has a different risk appetite. And so, of course, the equity funds will provide a much higher return, but they also come with far more risk. Our credit fund has a current cash paid to the investor component to it, a lot lower risk, and still a terrific return profile. So why don't I pause there? I can answer a few questions, and then we can have David share with us the investment thesis around the credit fund. Why don't we have David briefly describe the credit fund function of GSV?
Thanks, Larry. Good morning, everyone. As Larry said, my name is David Sprang, and I'm the founder and CEO of GSV Growth Credit, and we are the low-risk, lower-return portion of GSV. And we provide loans to these same types of fast-growing small companies, but they're much, much less risky, and we're focused on current returns to the investors. You know, my background briefly is I started out as an investment banker with Salomon Brothers, and then moved over to Lloyd's TSB Bank and was ultimately the head of their global strategy for their asset management business. And then I started in venture capital about sadly 25 years ago, and have been very fortunate to have been able to back some fantastic entrepreneurs over the years. I invested in 43 different companies. Almost 20 of those have gone public, and another dozen had M&A exits. So I generated about a 60+% IRR. I was fortunate enough to be on the Forbes Midas list 4 times, once in the top 10. But about 5 years ago, I discovered direct lending money to small companies as a way of generating returns on a more consistent and faster basis. So we lend money to these same types of really exciting companies to fuel their growth, but we get a security interest in all the assets of the company, and we're able to generate a current return. We also get warrants to buy equity in the company, so we can also participate in the upside. So what our fund does is make loans like that, and we generate to our investors about a 10 to 15% current return, dividend that comes out every quarter, plus another 500 basis points or 5% that comes when the warrants mature. That could even be higher. So the net return to investors will be somewhere between 15 and 25%. So you're never going to get 10 times your money, but you're pretty much guaranteed to get 2 times your money and in a much, much safer investment. The vehicle that we are raising right now has the added attribute that it itself will go public and will offer daily liquidity to investors. So for individuals that invest with us now, you will get a 10 to 15% or higher return, and then in about 18 to 24 months when the company goes public, you'll have a share that will trade, and then you'll be able to sell the stock at any time and have daily liquidity. So that's a quick overview on the credit fund, and it's one of the many pieces within GSV. As Larry said, we invest in fast-growing companies at the equity level, directly, or through our publicly traded fund called GSV Capital that's traded on NASDAQ. And then you can also participate in the less risky, lower return credit fund, which I'm managing. So maybe turn it over, any questions on any of the products, and Oscar and Larry and I are all available to answer. Please.
Which is the typical startup where you can put some money? Let's say that there are so many high-tech startups. Sorry, let's start again. So at least the early stages of startups, they don't have assets, they don't have computer. In terms of assets, they don't have anything. They just have the brain of the entrepreneurs. So how do you manage to give some loan to these young companies, young organizations? So what is in which terms do you loan money to these young companies?
Yeah, great question. So we do not provide loans to companies that are really early, so seed or Series A companies. We wait for them to develop a product, have initial revenues, and we're really funding mainly their sales and marketing expansion. We're not taking risk on development. Silicon Valley Bank and Comercio and a few other lenders are really a better choice at that really early stage. So we wait for there to be real assets in the company, not just a few guys in a computer, as you said.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you have any historical data about your company? 15% sounds, I think everybody can hear me. 15% sounds like a very interesting return.
Bernardo, es para que traduzca ahorita.
Perdón. 15% sounds, you have my interest.
Yes.
I think when you said 15%, you have everybody else's interest in the room. I would just like to know a little bit more about how you produce that 15%, and if you have some historical charts.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, please. We have a lot of information. We're trying to be succinct and not overwhelm you. The credit fund that I've been running for the last 5 years has invested in 65 different loans, and the first fund has a net return to the limited partners of 22%, and that's all cash on cash. There's no markups in these loans, they're valued at par. So that's a good indicator of the returns, and we think we're trying to be more conservative with this fund because it'll be a little larger. And the other important statistic is that the loan losses historically, by us and by other lenders, are very, very small. The portfolio that I have been running has a 0.5% loan loss ratio, so it's very low. Some of the other lenders out there that participate in the same market have similar statistics. You know, you can see on page 3, I think if you go one more page in, on page 4 actually, you can see that we're saying that the loans are secured, low risk, loss ratios less than 2%. They're actually much lower than that. So it's a very safe place to lend. It's not something that everybody is familiar with. And my personal belief, after having been a venture capitalist for 20 years and now a growth debt lender for 5, I think this is the best risk-adjusted returns in the whole alternative investment landscape. And if you look on page 6, so if you flip forward another couple pages, you can see some of the information on projected returns. You know, so we will underwrite these loans to generate between 15 and 25%, and then the portfolio as a whole should deliver net to the investor, you know, 15 to 20%, with 10 to 15% of that coming on a current basis. And if you just go ahead, I apologize for making you flip so many pages, but if you go back to page 16, which is my biography, you can see the track record for Decathlon Capital, which is the firm that I co-founded in 2010. And there you can see the first fund has returns of 22.6% net to the investor. So a good you know, marker for potential for this type of product.
Provide more historical data and access to data rooms on all of our funds. We just ask that if you're interested after the breakfast to come up to us individually, we'll have a one-on-one conversation with you and get your contact information out.
Any other, oh, please. All right.
Yeah, this is a question for Larry. So what is the minimum ticket for an LP to participate in your fund?
So we have 2 different thresholds for our LPs. We have our institutional level, which is $1 million and above, and that capital is called as a traditional fund would. And investors below that level, they make the investment up front, including 3 years of management fee, so that we're not bothering people to ask them on a quarterly basis to send a small amount of money in. And then at the end of the 3 years, if the fund is not completely exited, which it most likely will not, there'll be a catch-up period for the investors below $1 million that at the time of liquidation will collect some additional fees. But there's 2 thresholds, $1 million and above, traditional LP, you sign a capital call commitment letter. Below that, you fund the money up front. And then there are individual deals where you can pick and choose which company. There's historically been a $100,000 minimum on that, but we have taken lower subscriptions than that.
Thank you.
Y nomás para complementar esto, Mary y yo estamos hablando también, aunque suponiendo que quisieran invertir en una compañía en una sola y que el mínimo histórico es de $100,000, estamos viendo la manera de hacer un fondo donde diferentes personas o empresas participen y no tenga que ser esta cantidad, es decir, si alguien quiere poner 20, 30 días y ir armando este vehículo, vamos a valorar aquí junto con Carlos también la mejor manera de hacerlo, tanto como sociedad y fiscalmente, ¿no? La mejor manera. Entonces sí estamos viendo la posibilidad bajar un poco el...
¿Y sería una entidad en México o en Silicon Valley?
Sí, mira, en el pasado yo, en lo personal, he invertido en Estados Unidos, en LLC, ¿no? Pero eso es una posibilidad. Habrá gente o un grupo de gente que le convenga, que prefiera ese tipo de vehículo, y vamos a valorar también para aquí en México, para poner opciones, y bueno, cada uno tendrá sus ventajas y desventajas, ¿no?
Gracias.
Bueno, realmente la cámara pues, es un vehículo que ve empresas interesantes y las trae. Cuando yo los vi, le dije, bueno, pero no cualquiera pues, quiere echarle $100,000, ¿no? Pues dije, mejor son 10 de 10, pero la cámara pues no toma la responsabilidad. Simplemente es un vehículo que ve que es interesante y lo presenta. Entonces en un momento dado le dije, bueno, ¿por qué no les aceptas 10 personas de 10? Y a lo mejor no es tanto riesgo que uno quisiera, pues a lo mejor aventar 100,000 o aventar 10,000. Entonces primero la cámara solo participa en presentar las compañías. Por la experiencia que hemos tenido, gracias a Dios, nos ha ido bien, pero también hacemos que la gente pues, no arriesgue lo suficiente. Si le va bien, pues ya será su decisión. Por eso yo le pedí a Oscar que, bueno, si hay 10 grupos de 10, pues puede empezar, ¿verdad? Pero siempre bajo la responsabilidad de cada quien, ¿no? Para que quede claro, ¿ok? Gracias.
Bueno, para complementar un poco esto, ahorita presentamos las compañías muy en general por cuestiones de confidencialidad, pero ahorita les van a repartir mis tarjetas, y si alguien está interesado en alguna en específico o tiene más dudas de alguno de los fondos o de los vehículos que tenemos, ya con mucho gusto nos reuniremos en las oficinas de nosotros, bueno, de ustedes, y por medio de un NDA ya podemos ver las evaluaciones de las empresas y todos los específicos de cada una de ellas, ¿no?